Hola, senors and senoritas. We are going to be getting in a 2025 fantasy football draft. First draft we are doing will be a little bit of a warm-up. We'll stick it with the Schnauzer. Like I said, this is the tournament you should get in if you're new to Underdog. $3 buy-in, $100,000 prize pool. I'm sorry, $500,000 prize pool. 100,000 of that going to first place. Definitely hop in a 30-second draft if you're new, though. However, I've done one or two of these in my day, so instead we are going to be getting in a 20-second timer. If anybody wants to join this bad boy with us, let's see this get filled. Bam. We are good to go. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for spending your fine Friday night with me. And John, how the hell are you not a moderator yet? We need to make sure that next time we hook up John with moderator status. John has been with us for absolutely ever. But we got Scott, who's also been with us forever. Same thing with Reed. Sebastian in this draft at 2. We got FF Addict in here at 7. Insums in this draft with us at 11. Ken in here at number 9. Clover says he's in as well. Looks like Clover's in at pick 6. So looks like we have a bunch of people in this draft with us. And we're at pick 12. Is this our fourth time over the past 2 or 3 days getting pick 12? We have had this a bunch. We got Jeep Guy out here. Anish in this draft too. My friend, where are you at? Let's see if you got the same Underdog name as YouTube name. I don't see it in here, so you're going to have to give me some. Braden's in at 12. Well, so now we know if the team at 12 sucks by the end of this, it's Braden's fault. Let's go. Dylan, happy birthday, my friend. Thank you for spending it with us. Hope that you had a good one. Can everybody tell Dylan happy 12th birthday? It's the big number 12, 1 year away from the teens. It's a very special day for him. Very special day. But we got pick 12 for Dylan's 12th birthday party. But it's a good one. It's a good one. Let's see if anything weird's happened in this draft. I mean, we have Bijan going ahead of Barkley. Not going to see that super often. Obviously, doesn't really impact us. Just given the fact that we are picking at 12, we have no hopes at Bijan or Barkley. If Barkley were to make it to us at pick 12, I'm sure this draft would get thrown out because some crazy things would have to happen. But let's go. Nacho says, all the way from Spain, is Underdog planning on expanding to Europe? I have no idea. I know that they're not in Europe now. These are like the states that they're in the US, and then they are in Canada outside of Ontario, but I don't think that they're in Europe at all. But we're going to take Nico as well as CMC. Again, we've talked about this a bunch, right? McCaffrey may be an absolute zero, but at the same time, you got a 50-50 shot if he is going to be a top 2 running back in fantasy or he's going to get hurt, or at least that's what we've seen historically. And one thing is, for everybody that's been using flockfantasy.com to get like a quick little screenshot or like a quick little view of some of these player statistics, which if you're not using the site yet for that purpose, I would highly recommend it because you can very easily get not only the basic stats, but also you can actually get some advanced stuff like their carries inside the 5-yard line, their juke rate, their yards per attempt, which I need to get Joe to put some decimals on that for y'all. But also target share in their respective offenses, snap rate, the whole 9 yards, right? But anyway, we can pull this up with McCaffrey and we can see if he is healthy, he is a top 3 running back in fantasy. Now, there have been 3 seasons where he's got injured and he hasn't. But if he's healthy, he's an elite RB. This is a $3 buy-in, $100,000 first place prize. We are shooting for the guy that can reasonably score 400 fantasy points. And we've never seen any other player on the board do it at pick 13 other than McCaffrey. But Brain says, I would bet $100 that Saquon finishes outside the top 5 RBs. Wouldn't be a bad bet, just given the fact you have to go up against the entire league, right? I know I talk about this all the time, but people make a big deal about the guys that get drafted early. It's like, oh, pick number 1 never finishes as the number 1 guy. It's cursed. And in reality, it's like, hell, whoever goes to pick number 1 has to go up against every other player in fantasy football if they want to finish as the number 1 guy. So you're not necessarily taking like Barkley because you think that he is guaranteed to be a top 5 running back. You're taking Barkley because you think he's more likely to be a top 5 running back than the next guy like Gibbs, right? Okay. Let's move this. Punit says, is it possible to censor league mates from the names on the website? Want a team review, but team names probably aren't appropriate for YouTube. If you're submitting it to me and you like on flockfantasy.com, just put in the little like comment box saying like, hey, I want this to be private. And then I'll make a private podcast for you and I'll send it to you and it won't be on YouTube. Okay. Let's move this over. Mike Evans goes 33. Lamar goes 34. This team starts off with Brian Thomas and Brock Bowers. So they have a lot of flexibility with what they decide to do here. I don't know if we've taken a lot of... We're going to let this timer go down a bit. I don't know if we've taken a lot of Josh Allen. Will be interesting if we get Allen here. He goes Adams. So I definitely think we need to take at least one wide receiver at the turn. If we want to give ourselves the elite quarterback in Josh Allen, let's just double tap that with Xavier Worthy. Now, one thing that we're building out on the site for y'all is actually going to be a range of outcomes tool, which will be really cool. And I'm really excited about this. And that you'll be able to go through and like just insert Xavier Worthy and go, give me the closest comparables since 2016 for rookie seasons and what they did the year after. That's sadly not on the site just yet, but hopefully it will be soon. But let's see. John says, I see you wearing a tank, Mason. Flexing the muscles, dog. I've been mixing, let's see this. Creatine with green tea pills and nitric oxide. I take citrulline, my friend, which is about the same thing as nitric oxide. Maybe one day at the Flock meetup, how about this? I'll make my little pre-workout concoction. You make yours, and we'll swap. We'll do a trade at the meetup. Mine, we got a little bit of creatine, a little bit of citrulline, a little bit of glutamine, and a little bit of beta-alanine. And then obviously I throw liquid IV caffeinated. However, I come proud to say to y'all that I've been completely clean from caffeine for 3 days straight. Going on a little bit of a caffeine cleanse. For the race next month, we are going to have to stay up for about 24 hours, maybe a little bit more. So, feel like I need to go a month without caffeine. That way, when I'm taking caffeine during the race, it actually does hit well. But Dylan says, Mason, fun fact in ESPN mocks, Chase Brown's going in the 60s of ADP. This is why you have no business ever doing a mock draft on ESPN, which I'm sorry to say that. But if you were looking at ESPN mocks, sadly, Dylan, it will be you going up against a bunch of your other fellow middle schoolers. And yes, they may be taking Chase Brown in the 6th round. But Andrew says, would be nice to filter out games to see specific averages on Flock Fantasy. So we actually have another tool that's in the works. That's going to be a player comparison tool where you are able to do that and you're able to look at very specific ranges. I'm really excited about. Okay. Let's see. Braden says, just want everyone in the live to know I took a nice big dump today. Well, my friend, don't mean to one-up you, but I may or may not have taken a nice dump in the woods today during my run. So don't mean to flex on you too much, but I'm sure you, like a civilized person, went in an actual bathroom, which I'd be embarrassed about personally. Okay, Metcalf off the board at 54. Dylan, I know you updated the profile pic to claim now you're 16, but in reality, I would say that you probably got that photo from ChatGPT, and the original photo is probably your current updated one. That's what I'd imagine. Alvaro says, how many devs work on the Flock site? It's pretty cool. We have 3 devs working on the site. We have 3 devs and then 2 designers. And we are ramping up to push out a bunch of really cool stuff for y'all that I'm excited about. Now, Waddle off the board at 58. This team right ahead of us has gone Brian Thomas, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Brock Bowers through the first 4 rounds. So they have a lot of flexibility if they wanted to take a running back here, which they do take Travion Henderson. I know for a fact we are going to take Jordan Addison. When it comes to Chuba, I'm a little bit scared off of him. Like, I'm not going to be surprised whatsoever if this does end up being one of those historical dead zone running backs where it's like, oh, okay, we get a random breakout from a guy that didn't have much draft capital at the very end of his rookie contract just because there's nobody else in his backfield. Is this a Mike Davis situation where he doesn't deserve to be drafted at pick 61, yet we're taking him there anyway? So I'm a little bit concerned with it, but we'll run with it. Panit, welcome to being a member of the flock. I did recently today lower the price on the YouTube memberships a bunch. I think it's $2.99 now, just because in reality, like, while membership to flockfantasy.com actually gets you a crap ton of stuff, YouTube membership gets you nothing. It gets you a emoji next to your name. Your name's a different color, and it shows people that you're in the chat all the time. So felt like we needed to lower the price of it dramatically. Okay. So after we go Hubbard, the next running back is Kamara. Laporta goes 64, which Clover says he got sniped on. Clover was at pick 6. I guess wanting to go with the double stack in Detroit with Gibbs, Laporta, and maybe targeting Goff a little later. But real quick, of course, just in case y'all are new here, which I'd imagine nobody here is, but just in case, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I've drafted hundreds of teams for like 4 years now. And yeah, so you're not going to be submitting your starting lineup at the end of every single week. That's automatically done for you. Just in case you have like Quentin Johnston randomly popping off at the very bottom end of your bench, he immediately slides in your starting lineup. No waiver wires, so you will be drafting very gross players at the very bottom of this. Guys that aren't even on NFL rosters. But if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, you can find that link in the chat description and comment section. It says draft with us here. This is the exact tournament I would recommend you to get in if you are new to Underdog Fantasy. It's the $3 buy-in. That is a tournament. I would do the 30-second timer and not the 20-second one. But if you use promo code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you will actually be getting our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet as well. So definitely take advantage of it. And these are the states that Underdog is available in. We need to update the map with New York. They just had to reapply for their fantasy sports license there, but everything else should be up to date. But John says Zamir White tier is what I call it now. Chuba was definitely better than Zamir, but I'm very much scared of Chuba Hubbard, to be honest. If we're going to go ahead and pull this up, of course, Carolina brings in 2 running backs. Chuba Hubbard does see a career high 75% snap rate, up from 71% the year prior. Juke rate at 19%. It's never been higher than that in his entire career. Looking at his receiving volume, only 171 receiving yards last season off of 77% of the snaps. Like, the dude ran 241 routes and had 171 receiving yards. Not exactly an efficient receiver. He had 10 rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, the total fantasy points were just fine. He finishes the RB15. He's a younger running back too, but I don't know. Danny asking if we're going heavy on Addison again this year. Not as heavy as last year. Last year, Addison was just such an easy pick when he was going as a mid-wide receiver 4, which he did return value on. Now it's definitely much tougher. So we were hoping that we were going to get Shakir here, of course, given the fact that we have Josh Allen. I still think we need to take a wide receiver almost no matter what. After we go Jaden Reed, you can get away with, in my opinion, going with the bully quarterback strategy if you were to wait till this tier of like round 8 Mahomes. And obviously we have Worthy, so we could take Mahomes here. I probably won't, to be honest, though. I think we just look at Dalton Kincaid and we look at Keon Coleman a little bit later on for the Buffalo stacks. And instead, we just go Jaden Reed and DeAndre Swift at 84 and 85. Not a super big Jaden Reed guy. Like, again, I know from a redraft perspective, we made 10 different videos last year saying he was a sell high player. Pretty much every single week Reed ever did anything, we screamed he was a sell high guy to get everybody in the comments mad at us. But again, I will reiterate exactly what we were saying last year, why I wasn't the biggest Jaden Reed fan, is if you were looking at the amount that this dude was actually playing, 0 games with over 80% of the snaps. Look at the target column here. 1 game with more than 6 targets. The volume just simply wasn't there. Now, he's been a very efficient wide receiver. Like 2.35 yards per route run this past season. 2.05 as a rookie. But target share even came down from year 1 to year 2 while the snap rate went up. So, not the biggest Jaden Reed fan in the world, but I'm going to draft hundreds of these teams, so we kind of got to mix them in. Okay. Let's see. In some says, almost went Swift, but you didn't want to triple stack like too much Chicago within 8 picks. Okay, so you're sitting with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. Yeah, I think if you have DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, it is probably smart to go Aaron Jones over DeAndre Swift. I definitely like going after our stacks, our double stacks, but I do think, to your point, taking 4 Bears through the first 8 rounds honestly probably does cap your weekly upside. We got Willie out in the chat. My friend, so nice to see you. I am in LA at the moment, but getting back next month. And if you're still in the Lone Star State, we got to connect before the season, my friend. But get back next month and would love to connect. Absolutely love it. But let's see if we got anything else here. Dylan claiming that we are AI at this point. Game Starter says, where's the Flock meetup? We're going to do it again at, probably going to have to do a different venue in Austin this year, just because last year was definitely a lot bigger than we were expecting. And looking at the growth of not only my channel, but also everybody else that's going to be there. It will definitely be in Austin, Texas, but I should probably start looking for a venue for it for sure. Let's move this over. Daniel asking us to kill as much Chuba stock as we can. I'll make a video explaining why you can't draft Chuba Hubbard, my friend. I'll do it. That way you can soak them all up in the 7th and 8th round. 7th and 8th round Chuba Hubbard, I'd be down for. It's just his ADP at 55 does seem a little bit tougher. Keon Coleman goes 106. 7 picks ahead of ADP, so sadly we are not able to get him. I'm not a big Trey Harris guy in this range. Probably not going in that direction. I'm definitely fine taking Michael Pittman Jr. as our 5th receiver. I've actually drafted a lot of Pittman this year. And then beyond that, maybe we go with Warren. Running back that should have a role at the beginning of the season. More importantly, you do have the upside case if you were to get an injury to Caleb Johnson, or if, and I'm not saying this is going to be the case, but everything's possible, that Caleb Johnson isn't as good as people are expecting. Right? We'll see. Landon says, if AR steps it up, Pittman's the guy. I've actually drafted a lot of Pittman. I think, like, some of my most drafted receivers are these Colts guys with Pittman and Adonai Mitchell. So I almost think that we want Daniel Jones to be the starter. I definitely have more exposure to the Colts receivers than I do to Anthony Richardson. And I think if we are trying to get points for the Colts receivers, Daniel Jones would be the better option. Okay. Sebastian says, pretty sure one of your most drafted is Chuba. I'll look it up, my friend. Okay, let's go to Underdog, completed. Drafts, exposure. My number 1 and number 2 wide receivers are Adonai Mitchell and Michael Pittman. It's not the most exciting thing. Looking at my most drafted running backs, I do not see Chuba Hubbard anywhere near the top. I have 13% Chuba. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After this draft, he'll probably jump up, and he will be near my top 10 most drafted running backs. But my actual most drafted running backs are Tyler Algier, Breece Hall, Charbonnet, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker. I know they're not the most exciting guys to have as my most drafted. Like, I'm not going to sit here and try to stand Anthony Richardson or the passing volume in this offense by any stretch of the imagination. But again, Pittman being drafted about the wide receiver 51 or so. Being drafted about the wide receiver 51, and the lowest finish we've ever seen from him is wide receiver 52. Previously, we've seen a wide receiver 12 finish. We've seen a 17. We've seen a 13. The efficiency this past year was absolutely garbage. A lot of this had to do with how bad the quarterback play was. But honestly, the target share fell dramatically as well, right? From 26% down to 14%. So there are reasons to maybe be even lower on Pittman than just the passing volume in this offense. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at what we're going to do here on the turn and go, well, Mason, you don't have a potential Justin Herbert stack. And if you're new here, I got to let you know that there's a wide receiver that will go later in this draft that has my name tattooed on him, effectively. But Justin Herbert sadly goes. So, not that the big Q won't be in play. Trust me, the big Q is still in play. But I can't justify a Herbert pick now. So we definitely want to have Kincaid here, right? We will for sure be taking Dalton Kincaid. The question is, who is the other tight end that we are taking? And Njoku goes, so that's going to mean we are taking Tyler Warren with Kincaid. On the turn here, if we weren't missing an Allen stack, I think you would be completely justified to go Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft. I think both of those players are strong values, especially as we are sitting here with Jaden Reed. So now that we really think through this, as we have Jaden Reed on this team, what probably would have been the better selection would have been to go with Dalton Kincaid and Jordan Love, rather than taking Tyler Warren. We haven't drafted much Warren. We just took Pittman. So again, we are maybe in a situation where if this team wants to turn $3 into 100,000, we kind of got to get lucky. Maybe we take Anthony Richardson. He turns out to be an okay passer. But let's move. Quez saying he's getting in the draft with us today. Happy to see it. Kanye says my goat flock is washed. My friend, I've been washed for 3 seasons now. Let's be real here. Ooh, the Ladster. What's good, Mace Windu? What is good, my friend? Hope that you are having a phenomenal Saturday night. I saw some of your Canadian hockey teams were doing just fine, weren't they? Let me look this up. I know Corey likes the Leafs, and the Leafs are maybe about to go up 3-0. I forgot what team yours was. What is your team again, Danny? Was it the Jets? I saw some NHL. I'm a Habs fan, but Bush is loving it right now. What is a Habs fan? What is a Habs? Let's look at this. Are they still in this? Or did they get bounced round one? The world may never know. I just know the Leafs are doing pretty good. Oh, okay. We got Layla watching from Germany. Happy to have you. Okay. Let's move this over. We're probably done drafting tight ends, of course, when we have Warren and Kincaid. So we may have to make a disgusting pick here, one that I'm not excited about. But I know we've said that we're never really going to be drafting Joshua Palmer. This is the instance. We whiff on Keon Coleman, who's definitely who I prefer. And we whiff on Khalil Shakir. So Joshua Palmer to pair up with Allen and Kincaid will sadly have to be the move. Looking at quarterbacks, nobody really is in play. Wide receiver wise, I prefer Leggett over Tillman. Tight ends we're not looking at. I'm not going to reach on Braylon Allen here, so we will take Leggett as our 7th receiver. It's maybe a year where we end up with a decent amount of Leggett, to be honest with you, which was the case last year. Clearly was a disaster. So now wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, Worthy, Addison, Reed, Pittman, Palmer, Leggett. We have the elite quarterback with Allen. Running back, we have CMC, Hubbard, Swift, Jalen Warren. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren and Dalton Kincaid. So the offenses that we are in on in this draft, we are in on the Bills with Josh Allen, Kincaid, and Palmer. We are in on the Panthers with Chuba Hubbard and Xavier Leggett. Super exciting stuff here. And we are in on the Colts, not just the Colts, but the Colts passing offense, be exact, with Michael Pittman Jr. and Tyler Warren. So John says, shout out to Big Q in trivia today. Good answer. The Big Q comes through for us in mysterious ways, my friend. The Big Q always coming through for us. The Ladster says, Fax, was nice seeing them hit that hot stretch. Let's get Rainbacher up and trade for a real 2C. And this team can compete next year for sure. Demigod is about to have 80 plus as a true rookie. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to need somebody in the chat to fact check what Danny just said, because he could be making up words and I would have no idea. Danny says, why Swift over Brian Robinson? Any reason? We actually looked at this yesterday, but if you go over to the site and pull this up, what'll actually be funny is you can see DeAndre Swift's worst season ever as the RB20 in comparison to Brian Robinson's best season ever as the RB21. So DeAndre Swift's worst season of his NFL career is better than Brian Robinson's best season of his NFL career. Then we can go, well, Mason, come on, man. Brian Robinson's still young. He's getting better. DeAndre Swift's old. He's been in the league forever. He's declining. And then we look at Brian Robinson's 26 years old and DeAndre Swift's 26 years old. Their birthdays are 2 months apart. They're the same age. And you look at the Bears offense, they've improved the offensive line. Better coaching staff, no added competition. So that is a good point. Swift did not come back from getting shot. That is true. Jalen Coker goes 177. Fried Muthoff 178. So, ladies and gentlemen, we failed. We're going to take Sam Darnold's. Let's think through this real quick. Do we take Darnold and Michael Wilson? Where we failed is we did not get another quarterback stack. We are taking Sam Darnold for the sole purpose of us just needing points at the position to advance. So the only way that this team gets this job done is if Josh Allen, who we drafted at pick 36 because he very much has the option and the possibility of going nuclear, we need him to go nuclear. If Josh Allen has a dud week 16, there's no world in which Darnold blows up to a point in which we advance without having JSN or Cup. So, quarterback, maybe we should have gone Anthony Richardson over Leggett. Kale is the one who took Anthony Richardson. Let me check in on AR's ADP. He had an ADP of 173, and we were trying to bank on getting him at pick 180. So maybe we were being too aggressive, and maybe we were hoping too much. Okay. Judd asking us how Team 5 is here. Let's check this out. Lamb, McBride, JSN, James Cook, Kenneth Walker. The Walker pick feels a little bit aggressive in comparison to the running backs he can get in the following round. But Olave, Myers, Kyler to get the McBride stack. I like the Kyler price point. Tracy, Jordan Mason, Dak to pair up with Lamb. It's going to be one of Ladster's favorite teams in this draft. Here's the one thing that I may have an issue with this team, and I don't know the right answer here. Maybe you did it right. This is just something I would think about. Is if you go quarterback in round 8 and quarterback in round 11, I don't know if you take a third quarterback. I don't know if I would have made the Geno Smith selection. I understand we get Geno paired up with Myers, right? But I think when you invest pick 92 and a 125 and 125 in a quarterback, you may have invested enough capital where, like, if those quarterbacks don't come through for you, you're just kind of screwed. I could be wrong. Legit Chrome says looking forward to Flock League season 2. Well, it's because Ladster's in the chat. That's why. Okay, the Ladster says, also curious in your thoughts, realistically, if we knew Pickens would play 17 without being a knucklehead, how far off of him and Higgins would he produce? In my opinion, very far. Just going right back to like the same thing that we did with DeAndre Swift versus Brian Robinson. Like, we look at Higgins, 4 out of his 5 seasons, he's finished as the top 24 option. And I understand he's had much better quarterback play, but Pickens has never finished as the top 24 player. It is a good point in terms of their yards per route run. Like, if you look at Pickens, 2.14 and 2.19 yards per route run over the past 2 seasons. And Pickens had almost a 27% team target share last year. So the underlying numbers look okay with Pickens. What's the Nick Chubb blurb? Door closed on Browns. We'll take Hunter. Danny, give me a running back I'm supposed to take here. Who's a round 18 running back that I should go with? There's a world in which I shouldn't take. You know what? There's a world in which we actually take the third tight ends and get a Darnold stack. Let me see. We got 1 vote Jaleel, 1 vote Kareem. I'm not taking Kareem. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'll take Jaleel. I'm not taking Kareem Hunt. I'm not mentally strong enough. But we will get in another draft, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and pull this up. What do we want to get in here? I felt like that was a good enough draft where we're warm enough to get into Best Ball Mania. I think our mistake in that draft was probably quarterback. Unless Josh Allen's just the QB1 by far, which obviously is a possibility. We'll see. Thomo says, do you think Brandon Ayuk or Jameson will have a better season? Jameson's price is if he's going to have a much better season. Okay. Let's see. Yes, hit that like button if you haven't already. And of course, if y'all wanted to come out to these streams at the very beginning so you can get in these drafts with us, make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way, YouTube lets you know when we actually are live. But let's see. John says, if you drink Gatorade, what's the flavor? Best. Let me look this up. Gatorade colors. Gatorade flavors. In my opinion, Gatorade's only good if it is extremely cold. But if Gatorade is extremely cold, it's great. Okay, let's see. Gatorade Walmart aisle. Let's say I go into Walmart. This is what I'm looking at. What am I going with? If you go with red, you're weird as hell. I'm sorry. Like, Fruit Punch is the worst Gatorade flavor. Blue is the only correct answer out of these three. Yellow I'll be okay with, as long as it's not red. You give me the orange or blue option. Blue may be okay. We're going to take lamb. Maybe we go for Pickens since Danny's in the chat. And we go for... Okay, y'all want to hear a really funny story. This may not be that funny for y'all. Okay. But... Oh, purple Powerade is the best. For sure. Okay. So anyway, whenever I'm training for Ironman stuff, like if I'm going to go out on a long run or a long bike, if I'm going to be out, like if I'm going to be on the bike and run for a combination of like 6 hours, essentially what you have to do during that period is like people say like, oh, you have to get your carbs in, blah, blah, blah. What that effectively means is you're just drinking sugar. Like I have these bags of what's called Tailwind, and it's just sugar and salt. And you're just supposed to have like 80 grams of sugar and then about, depends on how much you sweat, but about a gram of salt per liter of water. I believe that's correct. Something along those lines, whatever. It comes in Tailwind. But I got this from, this is like a Gatorade version, just box of sugar. And I was going to put it in my drinks. And then I would go run around the lake in Austin, slam like 2 scoops of it. And with their scooper, I just assumed like, hey, this is the standard 25 grams of sugar or whatever. And then my stomach was hurting so bad. And I was trying to do this for like a week. And then I realized I was like, hey, this scooper is way bigger than I'm used to. And then I got out like the actual scooper that measures like 25 grams. And then I realized I was chugging like 200 grams of this Gatorade sugar and like trying to then go run on it. And it was absolute hell. But so now I stay away from this Gatorade stuff. I'm back on the Tailwind. But we're going to go ahead and take Ladd McConkey at pick 20. Zach says, Fruit Punch is great if you're actually exercising and it's cold. I don't think Fruit Punch is good. Fruit Punch Gatorade is... I've never had this Gatorade like electrolyte. I want to try this one day. If you are working out and need to actually replace like with salt, what is a lot better than Gatorade for you is if you need the salt. If you're not working out and you're drinking for the flavor, obviously you don't want salt in your drink. But Powerade actually has a lot more sodium. Bailey says, do you think Ladd's going a little too soon? I got him in Dynasty, but kind of worried of them wanting to run the ball more with Hampton. Well, one, I will say they already ran the ball as much as they possibly could last year. Like, let's go ahead and let's pull up Justin Herbert. We'll take Garrett Wilson. Y'all know I'm a sucker for grabbing Chase Brown here in the 3rd round. I just think getting Garrett Wilson, this combo of 3 players, it's not going to be super duped in these drafts. But looking at Herbert last season, the passing volume was dramatically down in comparison to what we've seen through his entire NFL career. You had 0 games with 40 passing attempts this past season. In comparison to the year prior, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 with only 14 games played. The year before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the year before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, 0 games with 40 plus passing attempts this past season. The Chargers already showed that they want to run the ball over and over and over again. That is kind of priced into the Ladd McConkey price tag, in my opinion. As you pull up Ladd, this is a rookie receiver. That one I didn't draft much of. Like, trust me, I wish I had a lot more of this dude. He had 2.56 yards per route run as a rookie and a target share of almost 25%. Now, if you wanted to make an argument that they have a wide receiver going into year 3 that all of a sudden is going to be able to take a massive leap forward and be the actual alpha wide receiver one in that offense, I'll hear that argument. But outside of that, I don't think you need to be too concerned. Okay. Let's move this over. Devonta Smith goes. Do we take Hampton? I'm actually going to take Zay Flowers with the expectation. No, I'm not going to take Flowers. Sorry. We're going to go Sutton with the expectation that we get a running back on the way back around in round 5 that we like. Just looking at the structure of this board, I think that there should actually be a considerable list of RBs available to us at pick 53 and 68. Glasser says, bro, please tell me you've seen that TikTok show that does a spoof of First Take. I have not. You got to send it to me, my friend. Steele says, have you heard of the serial killer in Austin? I have heard of it. And I will say I've done a little more than just heard about it. PP Tyler says, I just bust down my AP. Perfect timing. Pretty damn funny, my friend. Even though I've heard bust down my AP in rap songs, but I don't know exactly what it means. Bust down my AP meaning. Let's see what Tyler did. Bust down my AP meaning. Bust down my AP refers to customizing a luxury watch, specifically an Audemars Piguet, by disassembling and encrusting it with precious stones like diamonds. Well, I'm glad you're able to make time for us after you did that, my friend. And we are going to go ahead and we are going to take Joe Mixon at pick 53. So the question that I don't know the right answer to, and maybe y'all got to help me out with it, is would you rather have the combo of Hampton and Waddle or the combo of Mixon and Sutton? I don't know. PBR Tyler says that's Shadur's song. God, I would love to have Shadur Sanders' life. Let me look this up. Shadur Sanders fashion show. Realistically, be honest with me. Do y'all know somebody who could pull this off better than I could? I don't think so. I see this and I'm like, brother, you clearly watched the live streams. You clearly got this from me. And I'm a nice guy. I'll let him get away with it. My lawyers will stay on vacation. But one more time, Shadur. One more time. Okay. Chris Godwin goes 66. Again, a lot of the players in this range, I just have... Like Debo, I have no interest in. Jennings, I have very little interest in. Let's take Judy as our wide receiver 5. Again, if you look at the numbers for Judy last year, they were actually very strong. Surprisingly so. I feel like we had a decent amount of Judy, but we got kind of lucky because I don't remember like going out of my way to draft him. It's not like I was expecting him to do this. But if you are looking at what Jerry Jeudy was able to accomplish last season, the dude finishes as the wide receiver 12. Now, of course, that's through 17 games, but he had 23% of the targets, ran 700 routes as a Brown, over 1,200 receiving yards. Looking for spike weeks, you get a 40-point week against the Denver Broncos. Get another 26-point week against New Orleans. 2 additional 20-point performances against the Chiefs and Miami. Okay. Let's see. James Conner goes. Let's try taking Matthew Golden. Let's see what happens here. Gives us another option at a quarterback later on. So now in terms of our quarterback options, we haven't drafted many teams like this year. But in terms of our QB options that we'll have in this draft, we have Dak open to us. We have Herbert open. We have Fields. We have Nix. We have our brother Shadur. And then we have Jordan Love. Okay. Yes. Matthew Golden, my favorite player for sure. I think Danny said he sent us the first take. Let's see what Danny's got for us here.
Stay away from the snow bunny. Stay away! I just can't help myself, y'all. Something about that pink flesh is so warm, it's so cuddly.
Okay, my friend, this may not be live stream appropriate. We may have to watch that on my own personal time. Dear God, Danny, you trying to get us shut down? I will definitely watch that. Name of the account is Last Take Show. I click on it, followed by Danny Tonesetter the Ladster. But Pollard makes it all the way down to 88. Move this over. Quarterbacks that are going to be here. Kyler Murray, we have no option for. Bo Nix, we could get on the way back around. And again, because we have so many options when it comes to these quarterbacks, we're not stressing too much. We'll just take Brian Robinson and then see if we get Bo Nix at pick 101, which very easily could be the case considering that we are the team with Courtland Sutton. But again, even if we don't get Bo Nix, we'll have the option to Fields. Even if we don't get Fields, we'll have the option to Dak. Even if we don't get Dak, we'll have the option of Herbert. Even if we don't get Herbert, we'll have the option of Jordan Love. So we are set up in a really nice way at this point. Antler Eyes, happy to see you, my guy. Okay. Chris says, Mason, we've been cutting you some slack early in the year, but where are the Blazers? Can't buy one in Cali. We'll get a Blazer going soon. When I get back to Texas, we'll get the Blazers back. I'm on vacation right now, my friend. We're on vacation, so Blazers stay off for the time being, just for a little bit. But Bo Nix off 101. Again, like I said, we were willing to take Brian Robinson in the previous round just because even if we didn't get Bo Nix, we had so many other options. So now wide receiver, we have Lamb, Ladd, Wilson, Sutton, Judy, Matthew Golden. Running back, we have Mixon, Brian Robinson. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix stacked up with Sutton. Kanye says, thoughts on Pacheco? I think he has bricks for feet, but Chiefs are always good. So I'm completely, like, if Brian Robinson went right before us, I would have been completely fine taking Pacheco. Like, I think you can make an argument to go Pacheco over Brian Robinson. A big hesitation that you maybe have with Pacheco, juke rate through the first 3 years, hovering around 12%. The very best season we've had from him, he played 61% of the snaps and he saw 244 receiving yards. So he's never been a prolific receiver. It's not like we're sitting here saying like, oh my gosh, this dude's an absolute world beater when it comes to making dudes miss. But at the same time, I'm not drafting Kareem Hunt. I'm not drafting Smith. So maybe I do. You got to take somebody here. Just because it is a Chiefs offense that will have trips to the red zone, will score points. So I would be completely fine if you wanted to go with Pacheco. Okay, let's move this back. And again, we have a bunch of QB options that could make it to us. We are the Garrett Wilson team, so there's a very realistic shot that we get Fields, but Fields does go 113. Fields is one of those quarterbacks that you can take unstacked, right? And you can get the spike weeks from the rushing. So not going to fault anybody to take Fields away from us. Javonte goes 114. We're still in a range where we are completely fine just pulling the trigger on the running back. And again, very similar to when we passed on Bo Nix earlier. It's while, yes, we could go and grab like Justin Herbert here. It's like, okay, who cares if someone takes Justin Herbert within the next 7 picks, as we can get Dak Prescott paired up with Lamb anyway, right? So we're going to be just fine at quarterback. And I think you could maybe make an argument, and maybe I'm just saying this because Danny may or may not still be in the chat, but you can make an argument to go Dak over Herbert at this point, given the fact that you do get the additional weapon in the form of Pickens. Okay. Judd says missed Ingram there. I understand Ingram would have been the double stack for Bo Nix, but when our only running backs we've taken at picks 53 and 92, we are at some point going to have to get some running back points in here, and Tyron Tracy falls 16 picks past ADP. So I'm completely fine with the Tracy pick, to be honest. But Dak Prescott goes 122. Lotzer, I did hear that the Cowboys wanted to get Bateman. And here we have a lot of optionality where we could go Herbert, we could go Love. We have the receivers for both teams. Or we could go Evan Ingram and build around the double stack with Bo Nix. Because Ingram does fall 12 picks past ADP, and we already got the falling value of Tracy's 16 picks past ADP, I think if we're looking for unique combos in Best Ball Mania, maybe going with Evan Ingram gives us the best shot of that. And also because we have those stacking options for those receivers with the quarterbacks, there is a non-0% chance that the quarterbacks fall back in a way that Evan Ingram just simply wouldn't. So we'll take Evan Ingram at 125, but we'll go for it. Instinct says, I had a fantasy draft today on ESPN, and the guy's name was Flock Fantasy. You have some fans. That is hilarious, my friend. That is awesome. Again, I will say, if y'all are wanting to do public mock drafts, we don't have the 2025 drafts on the site just yet, because I would say that maybe not the best idea to be doing like redraft mock drafts May 9th. We'll definitely get the redraft mock draft public drafts on the site by July at the very latest. But right now, if y'all play Dynasty, you can hop in some Dynasty mocks. Okay. Let's move this down. Stroud and Lawrence go 132, 133. I'd assume that's to a team. Yeah, that team has both Nico Collins and Brian Thomas. The Latzer says, I'll never not love Njoku. Yeah, David Njoku is going to end up being probably my most drafted tight end from this range. Okay. Let's move this back. Ooh. I know y'all probably wanted that, but I did not intend that to happen. Okay. So Ferguson off the board, 135. Do you think Ferguson probably has to be a follower with the addition of Pickens? Just because, again, from my perspective, the bull case with Ferguson was never like, oh, he's some top-end talent. The exciting thing with Ferguson has always been, oh, okay, he's in an offense with a pretty good quarterback with a lot of passing volume with very little competition. Okay. Michael Penix goes in this. We crushed this draft. This may be the best team I've drafted all year. Now we are going to guarantee ourselves either Herbert or Love, and we have stacks for both. We will go ahead and we will take Justin Herbert, pair him up with Ladd McConkey at pick 140. Let's freaking go. Let's freaking go. Looking at this draft, wide receiver, we have Lamb, Ladd, Wilson, Sutton, Judy, Matthew Golden. Running back, we have Mixon, Brian Robinson, Tyron Tracy. Quarterback, we have Bo Nix, double stacked with Sutton and Evan Ingram. And we have Herbert stacked up with Ladd McConkey. Okay. PBR Tyler says we need the flock tournaments back for the 1 out of 2 advances. My guy, I would make an argument. The eliminator now is the big flock tournament. I would say they took the flock tourneys from last year, blew it up, made it the eliminator. That'd be my argument, but we'll definitely get some flock tourneys going. I'll reach out to Underdog, but I think because the eliminator is essentially, in my opinion, of course, I could be wrong. The eliminator is essentially what the flock tournaments was last year. We maybe want to have a different structure. So if y'all want to help me come up with the structure for whatever y'all want, we can definitely do that. I know who we want here. Let's see who Fully Loaded takes. We will get Mr. Rashad White. I think White's a perfect pick for this team because I think we could get a couple usable weeks from him, even if Bucky stays healthy. And if Bucky goes down, then I think Rashad White could propel this team forward with running back points. So love getting White at pick 149 there. I want to say this is the best team we've drafted this year. If we can grab 2 more decent running backs, I think we'll be in a really good spot. Garrett says, what's your least favorite spot to pick 1 through 12? Tyler would definitely have a better read on this because Tyler's probably done way more drafts than I have. This is my second week of drafting. This is my 11th day. We've done 3 drafts in every live stream. So this is like my 32nd draft. So Tyler, what's a good pick to be at and what's a bad pick to be at? Again, I just have very little idea. Okay. Tyler says 1 through 6 awesome, 10 and 12 is great, hate 7 through 9. Yeah, well, I mean we hated pick 9 last year. Okay. Let's move this over. Romeo Dobbs off 161. Chim says, do you ever do 1v1 drafts? No, I do not. Stafford, we don't have any options for. Neither do we with Geno. Definitely running back's preferred pick. I don't know if we want Dowdle. I almost want to just reach on Hunter Henry. I feel like this is very bad, and I think we're going to regret it, but we're going to reach on Hunter Henry just because I don't know who else we'd even want in this range. Realistically, we may just need to take Dowdle as he's one of the only running backs here, and there is a laundry list of tight ends. Like, we go Henry and Ertz and Freiermuth immediately go after, but maybe we could have even gotten, like, Gesicki back. I'm sorry, but I'm never taking Ertz. Like, maybe if I have Jaden Daniels, I'll take Ertz, but we pull this up with Zach Ertz. The dude over the past 3 seasons, 1.5, 1.03, 1.21 yards per route run. I know this past year you get the 66 receptions, so particularly in a full PPR format, he was solid for you, but I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time with it. Gesicki goes, so we'll just take Adam Thielen and call it a day at receiver. Well, if Adam, I think it's maybe our first time drafting Adam Thielen. We've taken a lot of Wandale. But we are definitely done with 7 wide receivers on this team. And wide receiver, we have Lamb, Ladd, Wilson, Sutton, Judy, Golden. Running back, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Tracy, Rashad White. Quarterback, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert. Tight end, Evan Ingram, Hunter Henry. Last just says, Mason, this is going to spook you, but tell me the difference between Thielen and Cup this year. Okay, let's pull this up. Okay, a couple different things. One, Cooper Kupp's going to be 32 years old. Adam Thielen's 35. Two, the contracts they sign. Thielen gets $3.5 million guaranteed. Cooper Kupp gets $17.5 million guaranteed. So, not going to sit here and try to stand for Cooper Kupp or anything. Like Adam Thielen being 35 years old, this is a big deal, in my opinion. Okay, so we're done at wide receiver. I think we could consider another quarterback. We could consider another tight ends. We definitely want 2 more running backs. Do we go Darnold just for the advancement? We'll take Darnold just because I think we get a lot of points even if we don't have any stacks. We're not necessarily taking him with the hopes that he gives us big spike week in weeks 15, 16, 17. But maybe we get an injury to Herbert. Maybe we get an injury to Bo Nix just for a small duration of the season. And Darnold's points cover up and help us advance unique combo. But once we take Darnold there, we are stuck with only drafting running backs for the rest of this draft. Yeah, I like this team. This is definitely one of the best teams we've had. Instinct says, Mason, congrats on the Longhorns winning the next national title. The roster's insane. I am the worst Longhorns fan you will ever meet in that I'm never going to get excited until we are actually playing well and things look like they're going our way. Like, I spend 0 seconds of my day right now thinking about the Texas Longhorns. And maybe it's because every year that I went to school there, everybody acted like we were going to be great, and we never were. And it was just always pain and always disappointing. So now I never let myself feel that, but we'll take Giddens. We'll queue up a couple RBs as our 6th running back here, and then we will bounce into the next draft. I was going to get in a puppy, but to be completely honest with y'all, I feel like we did well enough in that draft to get in another Best Ball Mania. And there are 10 spots in this BBM if anybody wants in with us. FBM says, Mason, do you think Underdog will ever be available in Europe? So let me be very clear. I have no idea. I haven't been told anything. I have no say in anything. They could be in Europe tomorrow and I would have no idea. So this is me just completely pulling a guess out of my butt, not ever being told anything. I would be very surprised if they were in Europe anytime soon. I would be very pleasantly surprised. I'll tell you that much. I'd be freaking ecstatic. But I don't think, like, Prize Picks isn't in Europe, right? I think only like JC says, is the map updated? I'm able to use Prize Picks in Delaware. Be honest with you, Chief. I know Delaware is somewhere in the top right there, but I don't know what state that is. I don't know what state exactly Delaware is. I know that this map isn't updated with the New York news where they had to reapply for their fantasy license there. But outside of that, I've not heard of this being out to date in any other way. Oh yeah. If I may go live in Europe if Underdog's available in Europe. We'll see. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Justin Jefferson at pick 3. Again, I was mixing in CeeDee Lamb ahead of Justin Jefferson before the George Pickens news. It's not like I'm going to plummet Lamb down my rankings after Pickens goes to Dallas, but it's probably a spot in which I don't need to go out on an island and I don't need to make a super hot take of Lamb over Jefferson anymore. Okay. Let's move this over. Sanj says, what do you mean? I thought you owned Underdog. So my ownership structure in Underdog's very weird. Like, a lot of people think that I own 100% of Underdog Fantasy. I actually own 97.8% of Underdog Fantasy. So, I don't have nearly as much say as you would assume. Like, that 2.2% really strong arms me, to be honest. John says, I really hope Arch can have an impressive season. Really looking forward to watching him. The thing with Arch, and keep in mind, I have an Arch Manning jersey. I went out there and got my girlfriend and I Manning jerseys this past year. Just because it's cool to wear them around Austin. But realistically, like, I know everybody's penciling him in to be the top quarterback in the country and blah, blah. We've seen very little. Like, how often are these quarterbacks that are like the top guys coming out of high school end up being the top guys in college and then end up being the top guys going to the NFL? Like, we had Lawrence, of course. But it seems like more times than not, they do disappoint. Like, again, I'm a horrible Texas fan. I'm clearly not rooting for Manning to disappoint, but I really want him to do well. I just don't know how, like, we're penciling him into being the number 1 pick in the NFL draft at this point. And yes, Braden Aguiar owns the other 2.2% of Underdog with me. What do we want here? Do we take Taylor? Again, my thing with Taylor is I feel like, here's my opinion. Honestly, F it. Let me go out on a limb. Like I said, I think you make an argument Chase Brown's RB7. Let's take Chase Brown here. I think with Taylor, a big reason he's going where he's going is he's in this mix of these underdog players that blew up when it mattered most, specifically in week 17, 16, where he drops a combined like 67 points across those 2 weeks, 5 touchdowns in those 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden he's getting drafted here in round 2 again, despite playing 48% of the snaps last year. I think we may get a little bit cheeky. I think we may go Chase Brown and Bucky Irving. Let's go with some younger ascending running backs that have receiving roles. And we have our anchor wide receiver with Jefferson. Okay. Chim says Brown over Irving. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I wanted to go out on a limb and make a bold take and take Chase Brown over Bucky Irving. And then we get Bucky Irving in round 3, so just frankly, it doesn't matter. Sidon says, Jonathan Taylor played way more than 40%. Yes, he did. Jonathan Taylor played 48%. We can go look at this week by week. Jonathan Taylor had 72% of the carries in this offense, which is right in line with about his career average. His target share was almost at a low of 7.9%. Oh, you're right. That's his rookie year. I'm sorry. We flipped the years on the site yesterday. This past year, he was at 80%. Never mind. Jonathan Taylor looks a lot better. He is the RB12 this past season, 80% of the snaps. 74% of the carries. 8% target share. So, yes, I was looking at 2020. I apologize. Tyler has a question for the chat. Says, if you had to describe your drafting style, what would it be? Like, I'm a vibes-based drafter. What are you? How would you describe your drafting style in the chat? I would say I'm a bad drafter. But Caleb says, couldn't you have gotten Chase Brown at the 303 right there? Yes, I could have. Honestly, I just really didn't care. They're at the 2-3 turn. I think we have a pretty flat tier of guys. Like, once Achan's off the board, like Achan, Lad, McConkey, AJ Brown. If any of those players would have fallen, I would have been excited. They would have been auto picks. But after that, it's just whatever. Okay. Cool Penguin says, would you have taken McBride if he would have been there at the 210? Probably. Okay, McMillan goes pick 41. When we go running back at the 2-3 turn, we probably are wanting to grab some wide receivers here at 46 and 50 if we can. Sorry, we're at 46 and 51. Like, we went wide receiver early in the last draft, kind of near this range, and really liked how our draft turned out. We're going to go Cortland Sutton at pick 46. Again, I think taking Sutton over Flowers is maybe the decent call when you are in a spot where you haven't drafted a quarterback. And if you have Lamar, obviously you can take Flowers if you want. Buck says, I draft based on hairstyle. Not a bad option. Deer says draft style, pew pew. I like that one too. That's a classic. Okay, Burrow goes 49. RJ Harvey, pick 50. We will be taking DK Metcalf, pick 51. And we will be hoping, we will be praying that the Pittsburgh Steelers somehow, some way, convince a veteran quarterback or get a guy. Go get Cousins. Go get Rodgers. Go get anything. If Will Howard is the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh, DK Metcalf at pick 51 is a bum pick. I would rather have Chris Olave if the Steelers do not get a player. Like, Metcalf and Olave would be the same guy at that point, but Olave would have been a more efficient wide receiver as of late. It's like, we can look at DK Metcalf. Or let's look at Chris Olave. Because Olave has actually had all right efficiency. 2.33, 2.08, 2.56 yards per route run. Now, he hasn't really played a lot, which is concerning, of course. Okay. I understand Olave is one hit from being out forever. Here says drafting Judkins based on hairstyle. What's Judkins' hairstyle? Quinshon Judkins hair. Oh, yeah. Judkins has the cool hair. Forgot about this. If I could do this with my hair, I would. If I could, I would. I thought he had thicker braids. Yeah, this is like... I would try to do this, but the issue is my hair is too thin. So I'd get them in the braids, and then too many would fall out. And by the time they were out of the braids, I would be officially #bald. So, but while I had them in there, it would look good. John asking if Sutton's top 5 in our most drafted receivers. Let's pull this up. Sutton, before the last draft, we had 6%. So after the last draft and after this one, will probably be closer to like 13%. Okay, Judy goes 67. Okay. Part of me wants to take Judkins just because we were looking at his hairstyle, so it almost seems like it's destiny. But my issue is the Browns' offense. Caleb says, can you show your shares in all your players? I will once we get more drafts under our belt. Just right now, it's going to look very deceiving if I show them, because there may be players I'm not actually high on that I took in 3 drafts when they fell, and it looks like I have a lot of them. Okay. Mahomes goes 74. I have no idea what the hell we want. We're going to reach on Ayuk. Not super excited to do so, but we need a wide receiver. Preferably a wide receiver where a quarterback will still be an option for us later on. Y'all know I get suckered in a lot to taking these guys that are injured, thinking that, oh, okay, they're going to get right back to what they were. And I've gotten suckered into taking a lot of Chris Godwin. Gotten suckered into taking a decent amount of Brandon Ayuk. And the rule that I want to have for myself is I can only take one of them. I can take Brandon Ayuk by himself, but I can't take him with Godwin. I can take Godwin by himself, but I can't take him with Ayuk. Okay. Let's move this over. Tony Pollard goes 81. Sticky Ricky does go 79. I want to point out that Ricky Pearsall does have an ADP higher than Ayuk and will be going over Ayuk in the majority of these drafts. Okay. Cup off 83. Baker goes 84. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not done so already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, it will let you know when we are live so you can actually come out and join these drafts with us. And if you are not already on Underdog, I think you've probably been living under a rock. I would say definitely now is the best time to get on Underdog because they have the $3 tournament out. So you can actually get in some really cheap practice drafts and have some fun. And keep in mind, they're best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season, right? So it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. Just going to be some extra fun on the side. And you can find the link to join Underdog Fantasy in the description, comment section, and live chat. And if you use code FLOCK, you'll get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you will get our free 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. But let's move this over. So in terms of quarterbacks that we will be looking at, McCarthy is an option. Bo Nix is an option. And Brock Purdy is an option. Let's see if we get anybody that we like making it to us at pick 94. We do like Pacheco. Obviously, we talked about him in the last draft. The concerns are for sure there, but you have the upside case of very little competition for touches in what should be one of the higher scoring offenses in the league. Okay. Frozen says, just got back from a softball game doubleheader. Just in time for some food and fantasy. I don't know if you have a daughter in softball or if you're playing like adult softball, but I would love, if anybody's watching this and is based in Austin and has a softball league, invite your boy. Hit me up. I will be a weapon. Frozen says church league. If anybody has a church league in Austin for softball, Basketball, I'm going to be a liability, to be fully honest. Softball, I'll be a weapon for you. Get me in there. We'll go ahead and we will take Bo Nix and we'll pair him up with Cortland Sutton. And again, back-to-back drafts where we have taken the combo of Sutton and Nix. Feels like it's definitely a combination that I need to make sure we are getting some of. Because again, I mean, we can go through and look at what these guys did last season. But Cortland Sutton last year does end up giving you 1, 2, 3, 4 different top 10 wide receiver finishes. And usable weeks finishing as a top, like say 36 receiver. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Up to 1.92 yards per route run. Highest mark in his career over the past 4 seasons. 25% team target share. Highest mark since his second season in the league. Finishes the wide receiver 15. Obviously, that's not from a per game perspective. That is total fantasy points, and he played all 17, so that may skew things just a bit. But I mean, if we pull up Bo Nix as well, Bo Nix for sure was able to get better as the season goes on. Go ahead and look at this. The man was sitting with 6.5 adjusted yards per pass attempt. Pretty much every quarterback outside of CJ Stroud, we've actually seen get more efficient from year 1 to year 2. So the hope is, if you look at what happened in Bo Nix's rookie season, he had 6 carries inside the 5-yard line in comparison to only 11 pass attempts inside the 5-yard line. If you're drafting Sutton, I think you want to hope that the Denver Broncos do throw the ball a little bit more when they get to the goal line. Okay, let's move this back. Fields goes 110. Punit says, I have too much Olave this year. I don't know if I should be happy or mad. So I feel like Olave would be one of those guys that in the past I would have been taking a lot of. Coming off an injury, historically very impressive wide receiver, both as a prospect and the efficiency that we've seen through his NFL career. The hesitation I have is specifically surrounding the research we did last season, looking over the past 10 years with how wide receivers perform when they are in some of the league's worst offenses. And long story short is, unless your name is Malik Neighbors, if you're in a bottom offense in the league, you are screwed at wide receiver in half PPR formats. So I know we're taking Shaheed here, but I mean, we're getting Shaheed close to like wide receiver 60. But for that reason, I have tried to not just go all in on Olave, how I feel like I would have maybe in 2016, 2017, 2018. I've tried to show some restraint. Stroud goes 121. I think this is probably the range. Like, the more I do these drafts, the more we're going to learn, right? Love the shoulders not participating on one-on-one work at rookie minicamp. Not a super big concern, but I think it's maybe big enough reason for us to take Tyler Warren instead. It's not like we have any potential Chicago correlating pieces where we can take Tyler Warren, and this does open us up to get Richardson later on if we whiff on other quarterbacks. But the more drafts I get in, the more I am feeling like we need to be waiting until round 11 to grab our tight ends. Because if we wait until round 11, we are able to get Warren, Loveland, Njoku, and you are passing on some pretty bum wide receivers to grab them. Isaiah says you could have taken the Nick Sutton Ingram stack. We could have, and maybe we should have. My thing is, when I was looking at Shaheed, he did look to be one of the last wide receivers in that tier where there were a lot of the other tight ends that could have came back around to us. So obviously we don't end up getting Evan Ingram on the way back around, but we had the option at Loveland, Warren, Njoku, Ingram. And of course, the guy that we get's maybe not our preferred one. OG Jackson says BBM 6 winner at pick 12 in this draft. Let's check this out. We got Tyreek making it to 36. This may be the furthest I've seen Tyreek fall in any draft this year. Brian Thomas, CMC, Tyreek, Evans, Waddle. Kamara, Baker. The Baker pick feels very weird when we have actually, no, we have Mike Evans. I'm an idiot. Ignore me. Kamara, Aaron Jones, Andrew Charbonnet. I love the David Njoku pick at 132. And you know you're going straight to my heart with the big Q. Dear God. If you could wind the clock back 2 years for this team, imagine the fantasy points. You could sacrifice your number one pick, send Brian Thomas back to LSU if it means you get CMC, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Waddle, Kamara, Aaron Jones for David Njoku, Mark Andrews from 2 years ago. That is crazy. Scorp says, when is the Flock League coming back? Flock League should be back in August. Our draft is scheduled for like August 15th through 18th, something around there. Okay, Lawrence, we don't have any options for. If we take Benson, we are done at running back, which may be the move here. We'll take Trey Benson, call it a day at RB. It just looked quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. Questionable says, it's been shown that you can't trust the Dolphins. If you go back 2 years ago, people were just fine trusting them. 3 years ago, people were just fine. You can't trust the Dolphins if they don't have Tua. When Tua has been healthy, there's been a very high ceiling in in Miami. Okay, Rashad White goes, thank God we get the running backs off. It would have been very embarrassing if that did not happen. I think we are probably just stuck taking Kyle Pitts. I'm not freaking taking Jalen McMillan. I'm not taking Jalen Knoll. Quarterbacks, we don't have any potential stacks for either Lawrence or Michael Penix. Maybe if we end up getting Michael Penix on the way back around, now we can pair him up with Kyle Pitts. Y'all know I was not a big Pitts guy last season, but Pitts 147. Going like neck and neck with Brenton Strange feels fine. Okay. Ray Davis goes 153. We need to see some green off the board. Yeah, the Flock League I'm super excited about. And the Flock League should be a lot better this year than last year. Cool Man says, I'll be falling for the Pitts trap again. Yeah, like I think if you were going to fall for the Pitts trap, the thing is, again, he's going after Isaiah Likely. He's going right before Brenton Strange. 2 picks after him in this draft, you had Cedric Tillman off the board. Like, even if Kyle Pitts is a bum, I don't think it's the end of the world. Because I think the more likely outcome, I mean, it's a likely outcome that all the tight ends in this range are gross. But we can pull this up. I do want to be honest. Pitts has been very bad. And Pitts has gotten worse, right? I mean, he's scoring 1 extra touchdown every year. He's gone from 1 TD to 2 TDs to 3 TDs to 4 TDs. That's been nice. But also, he's fallen from 2.19 yards per route run down to 1.64 as a rookie. He saw a career low 13.7% team target share this past year. But he also finished as tight end 15, tight end 12 last year. It's about where we are drafting him. And we actually do get Michael Penix on the way back around at 166. So it's almost an auto pick for us to take Michael Penix here. Pair him up with Kyle Pitts. Knowing that we need another quarterback. We need somebody preferably that's going to correlate. And we are not drafting any RBs, right? Gesicki goes 169. We will take Adam Thielen. We only have 5 wide receivers, and we definitely just need another receiver here. So I liked our draft before this more, but honestly, I know we've been saying this. Y'all know the first week, every team I drafted, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible team. 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 I've been feeling good about our teams lately. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Sutton, Metcalf, Ayuk, Shaheed, Adam Thielen. The downfall of this team will be wide receiver for sure. Obviously, we need the anchor with Jefferson to come through in a big time way. Running back, we have Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Pacheco, and Trey Benson. Quarterback, we have Nick stacked up with Sutton. We have Penix stacked up with Pitts. And tight end, we have Tyler Warren and Kyle Pitts. Okay. Got A-Rod finally out here. Nick says Tua and McMillan fall into the 12 hole is giving him a monster. Yeah, he gets McMillan for the Baker stack as well. Yeah, Team 12 definitely won this draft. Judd asking us for Team 10. A-Rod says just had Tokyo. Time to draft. What the hell's just had Tokyo? What does that mean? Wide receiver, we have Nico London, Allen at the 3-4 turn. James Cook to pair with Allen. Joe Mixon 58 feels very good. Then obviously we're playing catch up at receiver with Godwin. Then we get Shakir to fall to Josh Allen. We have Hawkinson, Jordan Mason, Keon Coleman paired up with Allen, Kincaid. So we're full blown. In my opinion, I don't like having this many players from a singular offense because I do think it caps your weekly ceiling just a bit. If you're ever going to do it, the Bills seems like a pretty good offense to do it with though. But we're sitting with Josh Allen, James Cook, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, and Kincaid. So 5 of our first 11 picks are from a singular offense. But outside of that, I like the team. Definitely you're in the same boat that I am, though, and need some wide receiver points. Instant Asher says thoughts on Eckler's value this year. I liked Eckler a lot more last year than I do this year. So quarterback picks. We took a quarterback at 99 and a quarterback at 166. So I do think we can actually grab another quarterback here. I think we can take Anthony Richardson at 190. I feel like 99, 166, and 190 is not too rich for quarterback investment. However, I do think once we take that third quarterback, we are really just banking on Tyler Warren and Kyle Pitts at tight end, and we probably need to just be taking wide receiver through the rest of this draft. Okay. So Schultz goes 192, Tyler Lockett 198. I like the tight end value. I want to take Kate Otten, but I know that I shouldn't. We're going to take Adonai Mitchell, my most drafted player, which seems very embarrassing and seems very, very bad. And I didn't draft him really at all last year, which I feel good about. But we need a receiver. We have Anthony Richardson. Me drafting Anthony Richardson this year feels very reminiscent of me taking Trey Lance 2 years ago. Feels very, very similar. Okay. Now, running back, we have Chase Brown, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Pacheco, Trey Benson. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Sutton, Metcalf, Ayuk, Shaheed, Thielen, Adonai Mitchell. Tight end, we have Tyler Warren, Kyle Pitts. Quarterback, we have Michael Penix, Anthony Richardson. Running back, our points are fine. Quarterback, our points are great. Wide receiver, tight ends, where it's shaky. Like, without taking another tight end here, I feel like we are going to be underweight at wide receiver. So if we take another tight end, I feel like it's pick your poison. Are we going to be missing tight end points or are we going to be missing wide receiver upside? So I don't have a great read on it because this is such a large field tournament. I will maybe end up just taking another receiver and sending up a prayer. If Tyler Warren gives us a Brock Bowers season, this team has the chance to win Basketball Mania. And I think maybe we draft as if that there's a 1% chance of that happening or a 5% chance of that happening. Maybe he doesn't even give us a Bowers type season. Maybe he gives us a Laporta type rookie year. So I think we're going to have to go with the receiver. I mean, the reason we got a team to the final round of Best Ball Mania last season, and the reason the team didn't do much, one, thank you freaking Nico Collins and Zay Flowers in the Texans-Ravens game. But two, once Nico Collins and Zay Flowers didn't do anything, I was like, okay, well, I don't have enough wide receiver firepower, so we're screwed. So I don't want to be in that spot again. So let's just take another receiver. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to play the what-if game. We already drafted DK Metcalf. This team already has a bet that the Steelers are able to bring in a veteran quarterback. Whether that's Rodgers, whether that's Cousins, regardless of who that is. We will take Roman Wilson, pair him up with DK Metcalf, and hopefully both players get a pop if we end up seeing that happen. Let me show this team off. Feel really good about this one. And again, of course, we are drafting these teams pretty much every single night. So if you wanted to come out, hang out with us in one of these streams, just make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button and you can join. But yeah, we're drafting on Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK hooks you up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, at the same time, we'll be getting our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. The Schnauzer, this $3 buy-in, is the tournament I would recommend if you are new to Underdog. Do not do the 20-second timer. Make sure you do the 30-second timer if you are new, because the 20-second timer is going to freaking fly. And, of course, Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. But really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to go get some water, and I'm going to rest because it's been a tiresome week.